Change is good. Moved shelving around. I had 3 shelves, and I'll show you in a second, that used to sit right here. Right here. Well, that wasn't giving my orchids enough sunlight. So this is what I did. Just one shelf. Yeah, those trays down there are to keep too much water off the concrete floor. I know it's concrete, but, you know, better than never. Here's another shelf that I moved. And the 3rd shelf that I moved. Do I have more room? Maybe. Maybe. So let me give you a peek on what it looks like currently. Just remember that I'm not done moving the plants, just the shelves. There's one of the plants that I moved. There was a very, very tatty and ugly variegated pothos that hung there, blocking the sun from a lot of my other things. As I said, I'm not done. When I moved the shelves, I just took things off of walls and quickly placed them back on shelves and on my hanging walls. But those are my 2 hanging walls. And those are my trays of snail bait. And here's the shelf that was currently there. And this guy up here, the sun's going to hit it, but I moved him up a little bit higher on the cardinal bells. Going to pan over to the other shelf. In fact, I'm going to walk around to the other side. Yeah, there's that shelf that was in place and still is. I did move a couple of plants and stands, got them back up on shelves. So right now I only have 2 plants in a stand. They're both amethyst glossums. My 3rd amethyst glossum is currently right there. Yeah, quit doing all the ahs and ums. And here's the 3rd shelf that I had and is still in place. And I've got some vandas outside soaking, and I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, there's the existing shelf. And there's those that you never got to see, hardly, in videos. It's going to be pretty bright out here for the moment, getting ready to rain. But I've got my 2 vandas and baskets soaking, and what I did was bought this huge plastic container that is pretty deep, so I can occasionally, I'm not going to be able to soak them every day like you should, but I will be able to a couple times a week. My vandas are all still in the same place. I'll just move them around a little bit more so that they get a variety of air movement. So, you know, none of them are in spike, but that's okay. They'll come around. They're doing better. I did notice that their roots, some of them were getting mushy, despite the fact that I didn't soak. It's kind of interesting, and if any of you have any suggestions as to why, I would certainly appreciate it. Anyway, that's the changes in my grow space for my orchids. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day. Probably see you tomorrow if I get a few to do some things that are in bud. Bye.